Just give me a couple of minutes, guys. Yeah, hi all. Good evening.
Yeah. Hi, good evening.
Share my screen. Hi, Arik. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I'll share my screen. So let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah, visible.
Okay. So till yesterday we have understood like what is NP processor, what is CP processor, and who handles what traffic, right? Is there any questions in that?
No.
Okay. So today we will again go into a theory, deep dive theory. See, in a FortiGate firewall, we are having a different type of inspection modes. So whenever we configure policy, we have a different type of inspection modes in a policy. Okay, one is called a flow-based policy, and one is called a proxy-based policy. So we will understand what is flow-based policy and what is proxy-based policy. Okay. So now let us go to our theory again. Okay, proxy-based, flow-based inspection. So what will happen? Let us see. Just a minute. Pen. Okay. So whenever we try to configure any policy, we have options in a policy. Either it would be a proxy-based inspection or it is a flow-based inspection. So first let us understand what is a flow-based inspection and how it works. Okay. So inspection mechanism inspects packets in a real time as they pass through the firewall without a full buffering. Okay. Whenever traffic comes into a firewall, flow-based inspection will just inspect the policy, inspect the traffic, but there would be no buffering of packets. Okay. Single session inspects inline while forwarding. There would be no packet capturing or anything happening. The firewall will just check the law, check the rules, and allow the firewall, okay, allow the traffic. Then how is the performance? High throughput with the minimum delay. Security depth, high security using pattern matching. Inspections may less effective for high fragmented threats, which means if you have antivirus and all. Sorry. Okay, so let us go to our notepad. We'll see. It may be confusing. So assume now you are having a firewall. When the traffic came in, whenever any user sending a traffic, okay, the traffic will be in a different packets. Okay, every packet would be having a maximum of 1500 bits of data, right? 1500 bytes of data would be there with every packet. When the packet came into a firewall, and assume a user is sending a packet of 1 GB file or 100 MB file. Okay, so for a firewall to inspect a complete file, there are two ways he can do. Either suppose 1500 bytes came, firewall will inspect this particular bytes, allow or deny, and it will send a packet out. Okay, then second packet came, firewall will do second inspection. Third packet came, firewall will do third inspection, but it will not buffer everything. Okay, first packet came, it will check and send it to a destination. Second packet came, check and send it to a destination. Okay, that will happen when you are in a flow based inspection. And because of this, see, when the packet came, firewall checked and send it back to a destination, right? Because of this, flow based inspection is usually faster. Okay, and when it comes to proxy based inspection, now at the second time, proxy based inspection, what will happen? Suppose it is 100 MB of data, firewall will take a buffer. Firewall will not send a packet out until he completely have a 100 MB data file. He store the file, he inspect the file, then send a packet out of your destination. Okay, so whenever the user is sending or the source is sending a packet to firewall, he will buffer the packet completely, he will check the file completely, then he will send out a packet to a destination. Okay, so this usually happens when we have a proxy based. Because of this particular method, the proxy based is little slow compared to a flow based, because firewall need to buffer the complete packet, then check the inspection and then send it back to a destination. Okay, so let us go again. So if you see, terminates the client connection fully, buffers the inspector content, then establish the new connection to the destination. Okay, so that means in a flow based, packet came in, firewall inspect and send packet out. But in a proxy based, firewall will wait for the complete file to be stored, then it will send a packet out of your destination. Okay, when the packet is stored, then the firewall will send the packet out of a destination. Until the complete file is stored, firewall will not send this particular packet to a destination. Okay, is it clear? The major difference between flow based and proxy based.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
got it.
this can be your interview question, like what is the major difference between flow based and proxy based. So in a flow based, whenever the packet came in, firewall inspected and send it back to a destination, send it out to a destination. But in proxy based, it will buffer the packet and it will wait until when, till the complete particular file comes to a firewall, then it will inspect the file, then it will send out our destination. Okay, then if someone asks why flow based is faster than compared to a proxy based, because of this reason, flow based will not wait for a complete file to come, whatever bytes came, inspected and send a packet out. Okay, that is the reason flow based is
Okay,
faster.
okay. And one more thing,
Hmm.
if suppose if we are doing some debugging or troubleshooting,
Hmm.
um, uh, we do if suppose we are doing some debugging or troubleshooting for the firewall policy where the flow based is already configured. Okay, in that case, are we able to do the packet capture, or that's a different scenario?
Sorry, I missed it. Can you repeat again?
No, if suppose if I'm trying to troubleshoot one firewall policy, okay,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
firewall policy which where this flow based is already configured, okay.
Okay.
If I'm trying to do some troubleshooting or debugging for so and so reason, will I be able to do the packet capture, or that's a different thing, and this is different thing, this packet capture?
No. This is not nothing to do with the packet capture. This is just how firewall handles a packet.
That how the firewall handles the traffic when the incoming and outgoing traffic is
Correct,
coming, right?
correct, correct. It is
Okay, this
nothing
is
to do
nothing to
with
do with the
packet
debugging.
capture or debugging.
Okay, okay,
Okay. This is
okay,
just to
got it.
understand how the packet comes in, how the packet goes out when we are in different
Okay,
modes. Okay.
okay, okay,
This is mostly
okay.
with the BGP.
In a live environment. Okay.
Correct, in the live environment. And
Okay,
there are some
okay,
different things, different processor will handle when we are in flow based and proxy based. So we will try to understand that. Okay. So if you see now, key features supported in a flow based, web filtering is supported, IPS supported, application control supported, DNS filtering supported. There are some features which is not supported in a flow based. Okay, which is if you see DLP, WAF feature. Okay, internet content applications. These are not supported in a proxy based inspection. But in a flow based sorry, these are supported only in a proxy based inspection. Suppose you have a requirement that you want to do DLP. Okay, data loss prevention, or you want to do a web application firewall with your firewall. Okay, then you need to have a proxy based features only, or proxy based inspection, because DLP and WAF doesn't support a flow based inspection. Okay, there are some pros with the flow based inspection, but there are some cons also. Okay, what is
what
the
does
pros?
mean DLP and
DLP,
WAF?
WAF. DLP is like whenever you are sending a file, sir, you want to
Okay,
deny file inspect, you want to deny some files transfer, you want to inspect the files and see if there is some specific like credit card data is there in your file that you don't want to share, the type of restrictions you can do when you have a DLP. And WAF is for your web application, you have a websites hosted into your company, then you want to protect that websites, you will use a WAF. web application firewall.
What is the difference between WAF and web filtering? Both web filter also do the same thing, right?
No, web filter is just for
Okay.
your end users. When you have a web
Okay.
filtering or a URL filtering, you call it, that is for your
Okay.
end users.
And one more thing, this
Mhm.
proxy and flow based, these are separate things which can support only in that mode, right? Proxy based and so proxy based will support this WAF, ICAP, DLP, those things only, or it will
No,
additionally
no, no. It
support the flow
additionally
based
supports
things
flow
also.
based things also. See, in a
Okay, so
proxy based, this is supported, and additionally, these are the supported things.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And but for flow based, it will support only the web filtering or what all the key features which is mentioned
Key
there,
features
right?
mentioned
It
here,
won't
that is only
support.
supported. Yeah. It
Okay,
won't support a WAF, DLP,
okay,
ICAP
okay,
protocol.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And then there is a performance difference between a proxy based and a flow based. In a proxy based, your CPU utilization will be high. Okay. And your memory utilization or RAM utilization consumption due to full content processing. Okay. So why it is high? Because file came in, traffic coming in, firewall need to buffer the traffic, and it will
Based on
buffer
the
in
dependency, the
correct,
waiting and
correct.
inspecting each packet. Okay.
Not only rating, but the file size, inspection ratings and all. And in a proxy
Okay.
based inspection will happen. Major inspection will happen based on a CPU only. Okay. The CP and the
Okay.
NP doesn't work much on a proxy based. That the processors. Okay. Content processor or network processor will not work much on a proxy based. Major content inspection and all will be happened by a CPU only in a proxy based. Okay,
Okay.
that's why CPU and RAM
Okay.
utilization would be high. But again, in a flow based, as we saw, NP processors will work, CP processors will work. We generally call this like what do we say? When the traffic came in, we have given the task to other processors to work. CPU has given a task to others to do their particular work, right? So that is called that is why flow based will have less CPU utilization or RAM utilization, lower the resources usage, optimized for performance, and can leverage hardware accelerations, which is NP and CP can be working when we are having flow based. Okay, clear? So generally assume
Yeah.
now you are having a requirement. Now we understood the theory of this flow based and proxy based, right? Now where we will use this flow based and where we will use proxy based. Suppose I have a requirement that for end users, I generally wanted to configure a web filter, or you call it a URL filter or application control, app control. Okay, then these particular things can be achieved via flow based also, right? And I'm not using any web application or servers which can be attacked from outside, right? So I may be using a flow based because I don't want a CPU utilization to go high on my firewall. I want the resources to be safe for my firewall. Okay, so on specific policies I can use a flow based inspection. Okay, then I am having a servers, internal servers. Okay, that I want the deep antivirus virus scans. Okay, or deep IPS inspections, or a deep WAF, web application firewalls inspection. I wanted to do deep inspections. Okay, in that case I can use here a proxy based inspection. Okay, proxy based policies where I want a deep inspection before the traffic come into my server. This is an internal server which is public facing now. Maybe my web server or my some application server which everyone access from my internet. Okay, in that case that type of policies I will use a proxy based inspection because I want a deep inspection on that particular thing, and a couple of policies are there. It doesn't matter for a resources to me. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that is all. Then let us see back in a flow mode. The goal is speed.
Yeah. Any example, if, like for proxy and flow based,
Just
uh,
given, right?
any components?
Like what components? I did not get. Like what you are trying to ask? Can you brief?
No, no, just asking some components where we can use phone proxy based.
That's what I told you know. If you are having a end users, you just want to block as a security for end users. You wanted to block some websites
Okay.
or some applications you wanted to block for them. Okay.
Okay.
In
Okay.
that case, generally you can use a flow based. But now you are having
Mm-hmm.
some internal servers, some website
Mm-hmm.
server you are having internal. That website server you wanted to protect from attacks. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
virus is coming to your company or someone is doing attacks to your company, you wanted to protect that server.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, you may
Oh,
need
okay.
to have a WAF for deep antivirus scanning. Okay. In that case, you may use a
No.
proxy inspection.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Then see there are some requirements that whenever the user is going out of company or any data is going out of company, you want to do a DLP on a firewall. Generally, it is not the scenario. You would be having a dedicated DLP, like data loss prevention would be dedicated in your organization, but still you want to do a DLP on a firewall, then you need to use a proxy based only. There is no other option available. Okay. Yeah. So that's okay then. Let us go to again. How does the traffic flows in a flow mode? The goal is a speed. The FortiGate doesn't wait for a whole file. It scans on the fly. Here is a step by step. Packet arrives. NP engine will check. NP processor will check a session table to see if they recognize. If it is a new session, it would be handled by CPU. If it is an existing session, NP will handle the traffic routing, netting, and moves the traffic. Then session setup. If a session is already there, we don't do any session setup. Then NP will send the traffic to our IPS engine, which is called our CP planes. Okay, this is where flow mode is different. Instead of packet going to a slow management CPU, NP uses the shortcut called NP turbo, which is called our CP engines and all. NP will send the traffic to our CP engines. Okay, pattern matching now. CP. The IPS engine is now looking at the packet at the flow, but scanning for thousands of virus signatures. So IPS engine sends the signatures and packet data to the CP, content processor. What CP checks? IPS signatures, antivirus signatures, SSL decryption, everything it will check. Then if a packet is good, CP will give the decision to IPS engine. IPS engine will give the decisions to your NP engine. That to send the packet out. If it is bad, CPU will send a reset packet to your destination. So how it will happen in your when you are in a flow mode? It is similarly how we checked. Packet came in, NP will check a packet if we are having a session. If session is there, yes, he will send a packet to IPS engine or you can say CP engine. Okay. If there is no session, then again packet would be going to CPU. Then CPU will create a session. Then send a packet to your CP engine or NP engine. Okay. Now assuming session is available, packet will come. IP will check this. If it is good, packet would be sent to NP. If it is bad, packet would be sent to CPU. Then CPU will send a reset message to your source who is sending a traffic. Okay. If it is good, NP packet would be sent to your NP engine and he will send out a packet to a destination. Is it clear?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you said like there are multiple IPS AV signatures and all. No,
Mm-hmm.
will the firewall will be downloading the signature from anywhere, or how it will identify this is
See,
bad
for
signature
firewall
and
would
all?
be having a database in a firewall itself. Okay. And any new signatures coming, firewall will download a signatures from FortiGuard website. Okay. Every minute or every whatever you have configured in your firewall, you can configure in your FortiGate firewall that every minute to download the signatures from a specific server. Let me show you. Okay. There would be signatures and patterns. Usually we will download from FortiGate website.
We can schedule those, right? Or it will be automatically
Automatically
downloading
downloaded
every time, or how it
every
is?
time. Every seconds or minutes we can give duration. Let me show you. Just wait a couple of minutes. Okay. If you go to system, if you go to FortiGuard, okay, then if you scroll down, you would be having a option web filter cache, FortiGuard filtering, then filtering service available. Then every specific minutes and all, FortiGate will clear the caches from this particular firewall. Okay. Then antivirus and all. So there would be a server available, FortiGate server available, which will usually download the signatures and all from a FortiGate website when you are having a license. Okay. So every minute or every 30 seconds or 1 minute, whatever you select, it would be happening. If you don't do, by default, it would be happening like 1 minute and all. That is not a manual process. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So see how signatures are downloaded. That it is automatically downloaded. It we don't need to do manual process. But who will scan that signatures? Your CP engine. When you are in a flow mode, your CP engine will do a signature scans. Okay. Yeah. Now let us go to another proxy mode now. Now you understood flow mode inspection. Now proxy mode. What is the difference in proxy mode? The packet arrives. CPU, specifically the WAD process. In a proxy mode, everything will happen with the CPU only. There would be no CP engines. CP engines will do very basic things. Major of the things would be done by your CPU. Terminates the connection. It acts as the middleman. Complete the TCP connection with the sender. Now, what will happen in a proxy mode? This is your client. This is your firewall. And you are trying to reach some google.com. Usually, you would be creating a TCP connection with the Google, right? But when your firewall is in a proxy mode, there would be two TCP connections happening. One connection between a firewall and client. Another connection would be your Google and your proxy or your firewall. Okay. So think it like you are having a proxy server in your environment, and your firewall is acting as the proxy server. He will terminate a connection between you and server or you and destination, and he will have two new connections between a client and a firewall and a server. So that means firewall is acting as your middleman, terminates the connection, it acts as the middleman, completing the TCP handshake with the sender. Okay. Then CPU buffers the packet until it is complete file. So whatever a user is sending, until your firewall gets a complete file, it will be buffered in a firewall memory. Then after a complete file came in, the traffic is if the traffic is encrypted, the CPU doesn't do the heavy MAC. So what happens if the traffic is particularly encrypted traffic? CPU will send the traffic to your CP engine. Okay. CP engine will just do a SSL decryption. Then again send a packet to your CPU for an inspect. Okay. And a CPC inspection, CPU aid by CP. Web filtering and anti-spam done by CPU. Only your CP engine will check your IPS signatures. If you are having any web filtering or anything URL filtering, that would be handled by your CPU again. Then antivirus and the IPS signatures, whatever the signatures are there, that would be handled by your CP chip. Apart from that, there would be no work of CP chip. Then after CPU checks the packet, then again it will be sent to your CP for a re-encryption. So now let us understand again. I have given the complete picture. Now let's see who will do what. Packet came in, received the encrypted packet and assembles them to the file and buffer. CPU sends the buffer to CP for decryption. CPU sends the clear text to CPU. CPU inspects the clear text like a web filter, DLP and all. Then CPU sends the text to CP for scanning. Okay, CPU sends the clear or dirty result to CPU. Then CPU again sends the packet to CP for re-encryption. CPU sends a encrypted packet to your data. So now here you see the packet is going between CPU and CP more often. Whatever their part they are doing and sending back a traffic to each other. Because of this particular thing, there would be a little slowness in the traffic. Okay, first thing what is happening, file was buffered into your memory, or a file was buffered in a firewall. That was one slowness. Then after that traffic is transferred between a CPU and a CP chips for an inspection purpose, right? So here and there some milliseconds of lag would be there in your traffic when you are in a proxy mode, and there would be no network processors coming into a picture. Everything would be happened by CPU. Major of the chunk would be handled by your CPU, and your CPU will only handle your IPS signatures, your AV signatures. Apart from that, if you are having anything like your web filtering or your app control, or suppose if you are having a DLP, everything would be handled by your CPU. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so
If the packet is dirty, it will drop and it will say to CPU to deny that packet.
CPU will send like a connection reset message to your destination or source, whoever is initiating traffic, right? He will send the traffic messages to both the sides. He will terminate the communication. Now if you see, when the packet is, see, if a packet is dirty or the policy is configured that deny that particular packet or traffic, then in a flow mode your CPU will send a reset message. Okay, in a proxy mode the CPU will just terminate the communication. Okay, so what happens?
Sorry, I didn't understood. Like it will
So
deny and
in a
it will.
flow mode CPU will send a reset message to a source. So whenever source see a reset message, that means connection is not completely completely happening with the destination, and the firewall is denying the traffic. CPU will send like this packet is not correct, and I cannot send a packet out of the destination, and he will send a reset message to your source. And in a proxy mode, firewall will CPU will send like a termination message, like traffic is not correct, I cannot send the traffic out, and I am denying this traffic. The agenda is same like I cannot send the traffic out again. Okay, but in a flow mode he will send a reset message, in a proxy mode he will send a termination message. Okay, if you see, 1 minute, hold on. Wherever I have written somewhere here, not able to see. 1 minute. Clean. If the dirty CPU sends a reset packet to both the sender and the receiver to kill the connection instantly. Okay, that will happen in a flow mode. But in a proxy mode, the firewall will terminate the communication between the source and the destination. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, then we would be having a different type of NGFW policies. Now we understood what flow based and proxy based is. Now see, in one firewall, if you are having a single firewall, whether it is flow based or proxy based, you can run same things in a one firewall or one mode. Now I am having a firewall. In one firewall I can create two different type of policies. Okay, 1 minute guys. In same FortiGate firewall I can create either a flow based, or either I can create either a proxy based. Okay, but one policy, suppose I am creating one policy from LAN to WAN. 1 minute, hold on. Okay. So whenever you are configuring a policy, suppose it is a LAN to WAN policy, there is an option for you to select a flow based or a proxy based now. And at the same time, if you are configuring second policy, suppose your WAN to LAN traffic is coming from outside to your company, or it is from your SSL VPN to your LAN policy, then again you have an option to select either a flow based or a proxy based. Okay. So in one firewall you can configure either of the policies based on your requirement. It is not like if you configure one policy as a flow based, you cannot configure another policy as a proxy based or something. Okay. So how do you select flow based or proxy based? Now if you go to policy and object, firewall policy, then if you see here inspection mode, you have a flow based option or a proxy based option. This is the only thing you need to select. Okay. So what is the difference we will get? If I am having a proxy based, I am having like a file filter, I am having a video filter, WAP filter and all will come when you are having like high end firewalls and all. If I go to flow based, I am not having a video filter option as of now, right? In a proxy based, I am having a video filter option. There would be more features available with your high end firewalls. If you are having like for big firewalls, you may be having a WAF, DLP options also available. Okay. Okay. So that was one difference. Now there is another policy type we are having. We call it the NGFW policy type. Now let us see. If you go to settings, NGFW mode, your firewall will work either on a profile mode or a policy mode. Okay. So what is that? Either it can be profile based or a policy based. Okay. So what is the difference between that? Let us see now. Profile based mode. Security profiles are created separately and then attached to the firewall policy. Application and URL categories are defined directly inside the firewall policy. Inspection support supports the flow based and a proxy based. Supports the flow based only. Proxy mode not available. Okay. Then central NAT optional available. Whenever you are configuring NAT, there are two types of NAT in a FortiGate firewall. Either you can do central NAT or you can enable NAT directly on a policy. If you have a profile based, you have option to do a NAT centrally or either on a policy. But if you have a policy based mode, you only need to have a central NAT. Okay. Traditional FortiGate management flexible for a mixed environment. Then designed to mimic vendor style. So now let us understand now what is this generally means. So we will write down the feature wise, then we'll see what all the things we have in a profile based and what all the things we need in a proxy based. First thing, security profiles. Okay. When you are in a flow based, okay, sorry, I will write it here again. So security profile means your web filter, your URL control or DNS control, or your application control, or your IDS IPS, your AV scan, whatever it is there, that is called a security profiles. For your security reasons, you want to deny any URL, you want to deny any application, you want to do IPS signatures and all, that is called a security features. So in a flow based, you need to configure separate security profile and attach to policy. But in a, sorry, it is not a proxy based, my bad, profile based and a policy based. But when you are having a policy based, you URL filtering and application control, you can directly add this particular things in your policy itself. Apart from this, your AV or your IPS signatures, sorry, IPS scanning, your DNS scanning, that would be again profile based. Okay. So now what will happen in a profile based? What will happen now? Our firewall assume in a profile based, and it is in a profile based only as of now. If you see settings, my NGFW mode is profile based, and this is a default mode of our NGFW. So if you go to policy and object, firewall policy, I am having options to add a security profiles, right? This option would be available with your policy based also or profile based also, but in a policy based you will not be having a web filter or application control option. These options would be available in a policy based here when you are having this particular things, right? On top, with this only you would be having two more options. We call it like URL filtering or application control. Let us do one thing. We will add one more firewall here. Fortinet. We will convert this firewall into our policy based.
Is it HA pair?
No. Just I am adding
No,
one
no.
firewall for a policy based, and we will show you.
Okay.
Node of Windows 4GB test win. What would be the difference between profile based and policy based? We'll just see. Let it power on. We'll see the differences. That let us go to theory again. Okay. This is one difference in a profile and policy. Then another thing is NAT. In a profile based, we have an option for a central NAT, or we can enable NAT directly on a policy itself. But in a policy based, only you have an option of central NAT. There is no other option for a NATing in a policy based. Okay. Clear?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Then another thing is inspection modes. Profile based supports both flow and a proxy. Policy based only supports flow based. Okay. Proxy based doesn't support in a policy based. Then use cases. Then why do we use this? Why do we have these two things in a FortiGate? Now see, if you came to from a different background, assume you worked in a Palo Alto or you worked in a Cisco firewalls. Okay, what happens in a Palo Alto or Cisco firewalls? The NAT configuration. You would be having a separate NAT policies in a Cisco firewalls or FortiGate firewall, Palo Alto firewalls. But in a FortiGate, we are having everything configured in a policy itself. We don't do a separate NATing configurations or anything in a FortiGate. But some people came from different background. They want like separate policies for a NAT. They want applications to be included in the policy itself. Apart from your L3 and L4 configuration or inspection, they want URL filtering or application also to be supported in a policy itself. Not a separate profile need to be created for them. So they want like this. So policy based was created. If someone came from a different background and they want to get familiar with the FortiGate, that's why policy based was created. Okay. But coming now, different firewalls or high-end firewalls or firmware versions came, right? After a firmware version 7.4.4, if your firewall doesn't have a 2 GB of RAM or 2 GB of memory, then all proxy related features have been removed entirely regardless of the mode you choose. Okay, suppose you are choosing a profile based or policy based, your firewall will run only in a flow based mode. Okay, this is your NGFW mode. I am saying about your inspection modes. You will think I will run a profile based and I will do proxy based. Proxy based will not work if your firewall is having less than 2 GB of RAM. Okay, clear? Now let us see if our this came up. I'll do some simply one simple configuration.
we can see this feature
Yeah,
NG
yeah. We'll just
firewall
see. Yeah.
in proxy mode and flow mode, both are only in proxy we can see,
In a profile
because
only.
in proxy only we keep.
I'll show you the differences now. Set mode static. 1 minute. What happened? Config system interface edit port 1. 1 minute, guys. Cancel this. Stop this. Config system interface edit port 1. Set IP state 100.1 for set allow access https ping ssh and telnet. Oh, 1 minute. I think I have given a wrong image in this. Yeah, I have given FortiManager image. 1 minute, guys. FortiGate Firewall. Wipe the config. Okay, let us configure this firewall now. Config system interface edit port 1. Set mode static. Set IP 192.168.100.1. Set allow access https http ping ssh and telnet. Okay, close this. Restart later. Okay, 192.168.100.1. Now we will change a mode. The default mode is profile based. Oh dear. Wait. Let the PC's power on. We'll wait for a couple of minutes. What all the things we need to observe, let us capture. First, default mode, which is profile based. Okay. Then second thing, in a profile based, if I go to policies, do I have an option of a flow based and a proxy based? Then if I go to policy based, do I have same option again or not? Then third thing, what type of NAT I am having in a profile based and a proxy based, policy based. Okay. Then inspection modes, I have already checked. Then even if I go to policy based, I should have an option of URL filtering or application control directly in the policy apart from profiles also. Okay. Let us see. First, let me open this. It is booting. Let us wait.
The security policies are from UTML bundle, right?
That security
UTL
profiles, yeah,
bundle
correct. The
for
security profile from UTM bundle.
different profiles. There are licensing or how it is.
Different profiles. No, security profiles all works with the license only. Without license, you cannot have a proper security profiles working.
Mhm.
Okay. So now see, now this is our main firewall. If I go to system, if I go to settings, what is the default mode of our firewall? If you see, NGFW mode is a profile based mode, right? So with the profile based, what all options I will get? Let us see. Policy and object, firewall policy. 1 minute, I'll just power this on. Okay. Then if I go to policy, I'm having the option of both inspection modes, right? Flow based and a proxy based. And here if you see, I don't have any URL filtering or anything option. And I am having a NAT option also available here, right? With the profile based inspection, correct? Now at the same time, I'll go to another firewall. I'll change the mode of a firewall. Okay, 192.168.100.1. Let us log in. First we will change the mode from profile to policy based in this firewall. Do it later. Let us go to, sorry, to change a mode, we'll go to system, settings. Instead of profile based, I will choose a policy based now. Before that, if you wanted to check, go to policy, firewall policy, If I try to create a new policy, what all options I will get? I am having option of flow based, proxy based, and all these things I am having, right? And NAT option I am having. Now if I go to system settings, let this be extended. Let us change a mode now from profile to policy based and click on apply. Okay, your changes has been done. Now let us go to policy again. Now if you see here, I am having firewall policy IPv4, right? Here I am having security policy, central NAT, SSL inspection and all. Now I will go to security policy. I will click on new, create new policy. What additional features I will get, let us see. You see, I am having application control directly on the policy. Then I am having URL category directly on the policy. Okay. Apart from that, I am having security profiles also, like web filter, antivirus, IPS and all. But here I am having more security profiles, right? Here I am having less security profiles. Why? Application control or your DNS or your URL category is directly added here in a policy based. Apart from this, you don't have a proxy based inspection or flow based inspection, right? In a policy mode. But here you are having flow based and the proxy based inspection. Then in a firewall policy, you don't have a NAT option available. NAT, if you wanted to do NAT, you need to do separate NAT configuration. Then in a firewall policy, you don't have a SSL inspection. If you want, you need to have a separate SSL inspection. Okay. This is same like when you work with a Palo Alto, you need to create separate SSL inspection policy, separate NAT policy, right? Similar to that, it is also there. Okay. When you are having with the policy based NGFW feature. Clear? Hello? Hello guys. Hello. Hello Sudhir, Raghavan, am I audible?
I was not able to unmute it.
Okay.
Now I can. This one, I was having one doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share your screen? I will say you.
Yeah. 1 minute. Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay, you said like there are pol two things are there. No, not a policy.
Profile based,
Profile based and
policy based.
policy based.
Mm-hmm.
If the core like there if the, we have two firewall, if the core firewall is policy based and the next firewall is
Profile
uh,
based.
proc profile based, there we can't do this proxy based inspection, no.
No. Suppose assume. No. See, whatever inspection you are doing, that is individual to a firewall. One
Mm-hmm.
firewall you can have a profile based and you can do a proxy based inspection. Another firewall you have policy based, then you need to only have a flow based inspection. There is no option of a proxy based inspection when you are NGFW is working with the policy based. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Good.
that is all within inside the firewall, how firewall handles the traffic. It is nothing like firewall sends the traffic out, then nothing to do with the firewall. Okay. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. So now let us recap what we have done today. First we have checked the inspection modes. What are the two type of inspection modes? Flow based, and a proxy based. In a flow based, traffic would be inspected on the fly, which means traffic came in, inspected and sent out, right? There would be no buffer of packets. But in a proxy based, it would be buffered, correct? Buffered completed packet, then inspect, then send out. So in short, flow based would be little faster, proxy based would be little slow. But there are pros and cons for everything. Flow based, you may be having some limitations of features, like if you want to do video filtering, or if you want to do like what we say DLP, If you want to do WAF, cannot be possible with the flow based. And proxy based, apart from whatever is functioning in a flow based, that can also, this additional features works in a proxy based. Okay, these are the two things we have checked. Then NGFW modes. So in NGFW again we have two modes, profile and a policy. Correct? Profile based is a default mode. If you want to run, you have options to run a flow based or a proxy based. You have separate security profiles. Need to add into a policy. But in a policy based, you would be having a URL filtering, URL categories or app control directly in the policy. Then you have separate profiles to be called. Like if you wanted to do application control and all. But policy based only works in a flow mode. There is no option for a proxy mode. Okay. Then in a policy
Okay, but
based,
it is better to use profile based only, no, instead of using policy based.
it
Why
depends
we
on,
should?
no, it depends on a person to person now. Now see, if you came from a Palo Alto background, in a Palo Alto what you will do, whenever you want to configure firewall, you will configure separate NAT policies. You will configure separate SSL inspections. Okay. But in FortiGate, we don't configure separate SSL inspection or separate NAT policies. Everything we will configure directly in the profile itself. So if you came from different background or different vendor mimic, then you don't want to switch your mindset, then you may use a policy based also.
Okay, in both NGF mode, NATing will be supporting, right? Profile and policy.
NATing would be supported, but how you configure, that is only different.
Of
Let me show you.
centralized NAT, and there
Centralized
are
NAT
two
and policy based NAT. Let us see
NAT,
again.
yes.
See, here you are having centralized NAT, right? But
Hmm.
when you are in a profile based, you would be having an option of creating a NAT directly on the policy itself. But in a profile based also, if you don't want to create a policy based NAT, you can disable policy based NAT and you can create central NAT also. It is not no such limitations in a profile based. Okay, and that is a default mode of how FortiGate firewall works in a profile based. So that's
Got
what
it.
we
Yes.
have seen today. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us connect tomorrow again same time.
Yeah.
So tomorrow
Thank
we'll go with our theory of our routing and we'll go to routing labs. Okay.
you. Hmm.
Our routing decisions and all. Okay then. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.